Hey guys, what's going on? Absolutely beast. Bringing you guys something today on the top of your track. I'm gonna do it's a couple of oddball cars. So this is a Ford. I think it's the F100. I want to say, but it's basically the F150 truck. This is the earlier version of it, and man, this thing sucks. I mean, it just flat out sucks. So like, I'll do the whole race, and then I end up losing. And I end up going back and changing my car because it was just absolutely brutal to race. And I had to rewind it so many times. But yeah, so today I wanted to talk about, I guess Forza 7 and Project Cars 2. We've been having a great bunch of discussions in the comments. And so I kind of want to talk today about first person versus third person. So, first person being the cockpit view or driver view, third person being outside the car. So, as I'm sure you guys can tell by my videos, I'm definitely a third-person guy. I prefer the outside, and there's a lot of different reasons why. But I'm going to try and go into the benefits and the downsides of both. So I'll start with third-person because that's what I know. But for me, I enjoy third-person. That's what I've always raced, all the way back to when I first started doing racing games. On the Super Nintendo, I've always liked driving in third person. So as far as the benefits, obviously it's easier to see what's going on around you. I find it easier to angle in and out of turns, and for me it's a much more open view. You don't have any A-pillars blocking your way, you don't have any mirrors or anything like that, or hood, anything blocking your way. It's just just the car itself. And obviously for a car like this, it's a little bit taller. And you'll see in the next clip, which is a Hummer, it's almost impossible to drive in third person. So I had to zoom out to the far chase cam. But I just feel like it gives me a better view of what's going on around me, especially when you're racing in like traffic. It's a lot easier to see where the cars are, and you can see when someone's behind you. You can see where people are on your flanks. You can see all that kind of stuff. But it does come down to a matter of preference, because if you learned driving in the driver view, then obviously that's going to be more comfortable to you. But for me, because I always drive in third person, it's very hard when I go into driver view. It's very hard for me to imagine where my car is, and position it the right way. So as I'm coming into a corner, and I want to angle in at the apex, and I want to set the attitude of the car. I find it difficult to do that when you're in driver view, and I also find it a little more difficult to tell when you're starting to slide in driver view. I mean, obviously you can tell when you're sliding, but in my opinion, I find it easier to be able to tell when I'm sliding in third person, just because I can see the tires slipping a little bit. That's kind of what I think about it. There's many of you who are just as serious about the driver view only, and I completely understand that. So there's a lot of benefits to that. There's a lot of benefits to that. The immersion is much higher, so you're right there, feeling like you're right in the race. You're right level with the ground, and you're looking just right out the front of the hood of the car. So for those of you that drive in first person view, it's much easier to position your car for the apex, to angle your tires in it just the right way, to put your tires over just the right spot in the rumble strip, and all that kind of stuff. And you're much lower to the ground, and it's much more of a realistic type of feel to it. So I completely understand that. It also gives you more sort of an enclosed tunnel vision type feeling. For me, I do tend to find myself, my eyes drifting a little bit when I'm in third person, looking at the tires, looking at the back of the car, the wing, all kinds of stuff as I'm going through turns. You don't have to worry about that when you're in driver view. In driver view, you're just focused on the road, and that's it. Also handy to have the mirrors on either side of you, so you can just glance right over and see where someone's at, see if someone's coming up on you. It's also, like I said, you're lower to the ground, so you're more right involved with the car. Now I know there's other views, so it's not just the driver view. There's also the front bumper cam, which I find pretty cool. See, let's say you have like the rear view mirror there. But I also find the front bumper cam awesome. That gives you the same sort of sensation as the driver view, but doesn't give you the full inside of the dashboard, so it's not as restrictive. But yeah, I mean, again, it comes down to a preference thing. If you're a first-person driver and you always have been, or you're driving first-person all the time, obviously, you're probably going to prefer that. And it's ironic because I've actually heard people who drive only in first-person say the same thing that I just said about third-person, which is when they drive in third-person, it's hard for them to position the car and know exactly where they're going to be. So it's just a matter of preference. If you're used to one thing, and then you switch to another, it's going to be difficult to do, but it's just like anything. When you're more comfortable with something, it's going to work better for you. So for me, the third person works better, and for some people, the first person works better. So there's also, in Forza Motorsport 7 coming up, there's going to be some extra different camera angles. So for a long time in racing games, there was just the chase cam or the third person, and then like a first person. And this is a perfect example of why third person can be bad sometimes, is because this thing's really hard to see around. For me, I can't really see the ground or anything that's beneath me, so it's not exactly easy for me to steer the car and get the apex of it. I mean, with a car like this, you're not trying to do that really anyway. But I mean, look at that; it's basically completely blocking that whole van. So these Hummers are so sweet. Here in the U.S., they were pretty rare, but late 90s, early 2000s, you started to see a few of them on the road, and they were pretty. Now here I'm just trying to cut. I'm just trying to be dirty and just cut, and something happened there. There's an invisible wall, and then it reset me, so it's like, well, I guess that's not happening. But yeah, I mean, they were pretty rare. I knew a kid that I went to school with whose dad had one. It was for like a business type thing, so it was super unique. Super unique car, and everyone knew who he was just based on that car. It was bright yellow. But anyway, and then obviously this car was popular enough that it spawned the Hummer 2, which is a ridiculous car. If you've ever seen one, they're absolutely monstrous. Like, they're the biggest thing you've ever seen as far as a car. But yeah, I mean, so in cases like this, third person is not as good. Now, for me, there's also downsides to being in first person, which I kind of touched on a little earlier, but, one of the things that I find is it's a lot more restrictive, in special cars, and again, I'm just trying to, like, ram this guy so I can get past him, because I don't want to be driving these cars anymore. I mean, I've said that before, my driving in these videos is not great, because these are all showcase events, and I'm just trying to work my way through these, and there's a lot of races in there. I think I'm about 2/3 or almost 3/4 of the way through, something like that, so I won't be doing too many more of them, maybe a dozen more or whatever, but they're really rough, and I hate driving these other cars. I mean, I don't have the patience for driving these slower cars, so it's really been bothering me to have to complete these over and over and over again. But yeah, so especially when you're talking about driving cars like the Audi R18, that car has a ridiculously restrictive cockpit. Like, if you look at that cockpit, it's just, there's nothing. I mean, you just see, like, the window, and that's about it. You can't really see anything to the front or front left or right, because there's giant A-pillars that are extremely thick, and obviously that's for safety reasons and, rigidity in the car. But it's just, super restrictive. But yeah, I mean, like I said, also there's downsides to third person. You don't get to really, get down in there and focus your way into the apex as much as you normally would, and it throws some people off, so let me know what you guys think down there in the comments. I've been having some great conversations with you guys down in the comments about this kind of stuff on other videos. So thank you guys for the support. Appreciate it. Make sure you check back soon. I've been trying to report on anything I can find. There's really not much out there. It's pretty dry, but I'm trying to find stuff for you guys, or at least come up with something that's entertaining at least. So thank you for checking it out. Make sure you check back soon. Subscribe if you like my stuff. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.